promises made and promises kept. With that renewed American strength, we've also stood up to our adversaries and those who would challenge America's interests around the world. This president's put Iran on notice. Will no longer tolerate their malign activity, their spread of terrorism in the world. We've brought North Korea to the negotiating table. The president's on the Korean Peninsula as we speak, and will be headed to the DMZ maybe before this dinner is out. And we've taken the fight to radical Islamic terrorists on our terms, on their soil, and thanks to the courage of our men and women of the United States Armed Forces and this Commander-in-Chief, the last inch of territory controlled by ISIS has been captured.
Woo! That's right, guys. That's right, guys.
I'm proud to report in the wake of that military victory, the United States is also, under this president's leadership, helping to rebuild communities across the Nineveh plain that were devastated by the brutality of ISIS. And I'm proud to report, with the strong support of our partners in Congress, the United States has already committed more than $300 million in aid to rebuild Christian and Yazidi communities.
Woo!
The United States is also standing strong and calling out religious persecution wherever it takes place, whether it be in Nicaragua, Russia, Iran, or in the People's Republic of China. And I want to promise you, this administration is going to continue to speak out and stand up for the freedom of conscience and the freedom of religion for people all over the world. We will hold up.
Woo!
Persecuted Christians around the world deserve our prayers, and I promise you that they will always have the support of the United States of America. This administration has worked tirelessly, I'm proud to say, also to secure the release of Americans facing persecution and captivity from Egypt to Venezuela to North Korea and to Turkey, where after 2 years of captivity, thanks to the tenacious demand of this President, Pastor Andrew Brunson is home.
Woo!
So we've stood up for people of faith and our most cherished values on the world stage, but as you all know and have been such a big part, we've also been standing for those values here at home since the very first day of this administration. This president has reaffirmed our commitment to the rule of law, to the foundation of constitutional principles upon which our nation is built. This president has actually appointed more judges to our Federal Court of Appeals in the last 2 years than any president in American history, and they are all principled conservatives.
Woo!
We uphold the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah!
I've met many of these judges on the bench. They're incredible. 114 judges confirmed so far, Senator. And how about a round of applause for Senator Langford and Leader McConnell and all the great Republicans.
And for International Stacker.
We have confirmed these great judges, including Justice Neil Gorsuch and Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Woo!
also taken action to protect and promote our first freedom, the religious liberty of every American. You know, I probably don't need to tell all of you that we live in a time when it's actually become fashionable to mock religious belief. We see it among media elites, television commentators, and liberal politicians. We remember back in 2016 when they called us deplorable. Oh. Recently, our former vice president actually said the Americans who stand for traditional moral values are, in his words, forces of intolerance, including, and I quote, dregs of society. In fact, one senator who also has national aspirations said that our administration's budget director, who happens to be a Bible-believing Christian, is not, as he said, quote, someone who this country is supposed to be about, simply because he was a Christian. Well, I must tell you, the American people cherish the religious freedom and the freedom of conscience of every one of our citizens, and these attacks on people of the Christian faith must stop. Americans cherish the faith of every person, the freedom of conscience of every person, to believe or not to believe, according to the dictates of their conscience and their traditions. And I commend you for upholding that principle. And I'll make you a promise. Under this president and this administration, we will always stand with people of faith. We will always defend the freedom of religion of every American of every faith. So help us God.
Is it silver, guys? Is it silver? Woo!
In 2016, this president promised that he would, in his words, defend your religious liberties and the right to fully and freely practice your religion as individuals, business owners, and academic institutions, and that's exactly what he's done. We've taken action to protect the conscience rights of doctors and nurses in this administration. After years of neglect, we restored federal enforcement of our nation's conscience laws, and we ended the last administration's assault on the little sisters of the poor. As the president said just a few days ago here in this White House, we believe the freedom of speech should not end at the front door of our churches and places of worship. That's why we ended enforcement of the Johnson Amendment, and we will continue to work to repeal the Johnson Amendment once and for all.
Woo!
You think about freedom of speech, the pulpits of this nation. Maybe when Bill Bennett takes to this podium tonight, having written some of the most important histories of the founding of this country, he can tell you how important those pulpits were when we first claimed our freedom in 1776. We've also gone to court to protect the right of religious expression in the public square. It's amazing to think decades ago a 40-foot cross was built in Bladensburg, Maryland, to commemorate men who died fighting for our freedom in World War I. For years, that cross stood tall and true, a symbol of our nation's gratitude to those heroes. Recently, left-wing activists threatened to tear it down. But in this administration, we stood for the Peace Cross. And last week, by a 7-2 vote, the Supreme Court of the United States said Peace Cross of Maryland can stay. So we've stood for liberty, for the rule of law, and the foundation of our constitutional liberties. But let me tell you from the bottom of my heart, I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life.
Yes.
President Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in America. President's very first acts, he reinstated the Mexico City policy to make sure that taxpayer dollars wouldn't be used to promote abortion overseas, or to promote or provide abortion overseas or around the world. And I was honored to cast the tie-breaking vote and to watch the president sign legislation that allowed states across the country to defund Planned Parenthood. Speaking of the nation's largest abortion provider, we all remember back in 2015 when those chilling undercover videos were on the airwaves of the nation that showed horrific conversations about the sale and transfer of parts of aborted babies. So I want to be sure you know. Just a few weeks ago, President Donald Trump ended fetal tissue research at the National
Yeah!
It's remarkable to think at a time when more and more Americans, especially younger Americans, are embracing the sanctity of life. The party that once said abortion should be safe and legal and rare now supports abortion on demand, even late-term abortion. In state legislatures across the country, Democrats are endorsing late-term abortion. And we all saw where the Democrat governor of Virginia openly defended infanticide.
Oh, Ron and Ralph. Boo!
You should also know that Democrats in the Senate, including every Democrat running for president of the United States, voted against a bill that would prevent newborn babies who survived failed abortions from being killed. It's known as the Born Alive Infants Protection Act. It now seems that there's even a litmus test in the Democratic campaign for president that taxpayer funding must be provided for abortion throughout pregnancy. You know, it wasn't that long ago that we had a bipartisan consensus in Congress and across the country that we shouldn't take the taxpayer dollars of millions of pro-life Americans and use it to fund a procedure that they find morally objectionable. was the genius that was enshrined decades ago in the Hyde Amendment, named after the legendary pro-life congressman from Illinois, Henry Hyde. But today, things are different. Even some leading Democrats who supported the Hyde Amendment for decades are now embracing taxpayer funding of abortion at any stage of pregnancy, no exceptions. You know, I've long believed that a society can be judged by how it deals with its most vulnerable, the aged, the infirm, the disabled, and the unborn. So let me say, with so many Democrats standing for late-term abortion and a culture of death, I promise you, this president, this party, and this movement will always stand for the unalienable right to life.
All right, guys, gotta go. Thanks for joining me. Catch you on the next one.